When life is full of disappointment.
Whether he was abusive, she was abusive, nobody knows anything.
And hardship.
Really, everything you got, you had to work so hard for it.
The most unlikely women can snap.
Was it self-defense? Was it jealous rage? Was it cold-blooded murder?
Charles Silver, do you take Frankie to be your wife? I do.
Sweet 16 and never been kissed doesn't apply to Frankie Stewart. By that tender age, Frankie becomes a bride.
With my love, I do give.
In 1829, she marries 17-year-old Charlie Silver.
My wife!
She supposedly was beautiful and she had charm. A likable person. I don't think that she ever had a bad reputation, to my knowledge. She was really, really smart.
In these days, teenage marriages are more an expectation than a scandal.
Conditions at the time were such that in most families, people tended to marry young if they could.
Frankie and Charlie are mountain folk, raised in the rugged wilderness around Morganton, North Carolina, a tough, unforgiving environment. But nothing quite prepared them for married life in a one-room cabin in the frontier wilderness.
The total isolation up here in the mountains and living in a one-room cabin, keep in mind, no plumbing, no nothing. And also to try to scrape a living out of these hills, really everything you got, you had to work so hard for it.
Frankie is bred to cope with hard work, even when she gets pregnant, only months after marrying.
She was a person of early America. She could do anything that a man could do just about on the farm.
The neighbors all said how industrious she was, how hard she worked.
Her new husband doesn't share his wife's sense of duty. He is more of a good time guy.
There also is a lot of evidence of how Charlie loved to drink.
He was real popular in the area. They said that he was popular with the young ladies.
Frankie was stuck out in the mountains with a husband that drank too much and chased women.
Don't worry, Dad, we'll be home soon. So, Charlie, where are you?
The harsh conditions and the two-timing Charlie are straining the relationship. Frankie is left to fend for herself and their baby daughter, Nancy.
I think Frankie and Charlie had cabin fever. He was sick and tired of living in that tiny little space, so they had a new baby, and for a strapping young man, he just couldn't stand it, and he was drunk and disorderly.
Frankie and Charlie were very young and immature when they got married and became parents.
The pressure is too much for the teen. Frankie turns to her father, Isaiah.
A woman's opportunities were limited in those days, and so she was really at the mercy of two different families, her own family and her husband's.
When we first got married, we were so happy.
Dad thinks he has the answer. Convince his drunken son-in-law to sell his property so the family can use the proceeds to head out west. A fresh start.
They wanted Charlie to sell his part of the property and convert it to goods that they could all go west on. But Charles didn't have any mind at all to go west. He didn't want to go.
Frankie's hopes of a new life are dashed.
Really, come on.
Until 3 days before Christmas in 1831, when her husband doesn't return from a hunting trip. Charlie's descendant, Bobby McMillan, has heard the story since he was a little boy.
His daddy was really alarmed, and he put out the word and got some of his boys together, and they started asking around for anybody that had seen Charlie. Nobody had.
And nobody will, not as they remember him. In 1831, in the rugged mountains near Morganton, North Carolina, the honeymoon period is over for teen wife and mom, Frankie Silver. 2 years into her marriage, she resents being home with her young daughter, while 19-year-old Charlie drinks and plays around.
Charlie was a good time, good old boy. And of course, there also is a lot of evidence of how Charlie loved to drink, too.
I just don't know what to do anymore.
Charlie has one thing Frankie wants: the deeds to their property. Frankie and her dad urge him to sell his land and move west. But Charlie won't go.
What am I supposed to do?
Her father kept on to her to pressure Charlie into moving, and she might have pressured him into getting really mad.
December 22nd, Charlie returns from a hunting trip
Where have you been?
to an angry wife.
There was an argument.
Oh, right, yeah, and you've gone for days.
No one's sure exactly what happens that night,
Hey, back you, lazy, nothing's being done.
Been getting the
Just shut up.
but one theory suggests both of them snap.
being lazy.
Grab it, now come.
Charlie is under pressure to sell and please his wife's family.
Some people say that he went to get his gun, and she got the axe and hit him first.
What about me? Don't speak to me like that, woman. My God, I'll kill you.
Whether he was abusive, she was abusive, nobody knows anything. All they know is for certain is she killed him.
There's no dispute that Frankie killed Charlie with an axe. What's up for grabs is why it happened. Was it self-defense? Was it jealous rage? Was it cold-blooded murder?
What happens next has been debated in the mountains of North Carolina for almost 200 years.
She cut his head off with an axe and then burned him in the fireplace. That was the horror of it.
Why she would have killed him, what the situation was that would cause somebody to hate another person enough to kill him.
According to one version, what body parts Frankie can't burn, she scatters around the wilderness. But her gruesome game of hide and seek doesn't work.
Charlie's brothers, they found greasy ashes in the fireplace. There were bone chips and plenty of evidence. And then they started finding his body parts around.
They found his head in an old hollow stump.
Lights, that's the lungs and the guts, you know, the parts that don't burn, was put in a sack.
Frankie is arrested for murder. The evidence seems as compelling as it is frightening.
If Frankie had just hit her husband once, killed him, it would have been vastly different. She chopped her husband up after decapitating him. People are afraid of women that do that.
At trial, Frankie has nothing to say. She offers no defense for her actions. Justice is swift in the 1900s. After 3 days, she's found guilty of murder and sentenced to death.
Grandpa, I love you.
Have you anything to say?
On the gallows, Frankie is given one last chance to explain.
They asked her if she had anything to say, and she told them that she did. And just as she went to open her mouth,
Die with it in you, Frankie. Die with it in you.
her father hollered out, "Die with it in you." And she wouldn't say anything.
Her father said to her, "Frankie, take this with you," implying something much more sinister was behind Charlie's death than simply Frankie striking out at an abusive husband. Her dad knew what it was.
Many believe the true criminal was Frankie's father, Isaiah. Even the victim's own descendants.
My grandmother's uncle, he told me that her daddy was there to eat supper with him. And Charlie, he laid down on a sheepskin rug in front of the fireplace and played with the baby a little while, and they both fell off to sleep. And her daddy said, "Now's your chance, Frankie, now's your time."
According to folklore, it's Isaiah who goads Frankie to murder.
Finally, she just said, "I can't do it." Said, "I can't kill him." And her daddy said, "If you don't kill him," said, "I'll kill you."
If you don't kill him, I'll kill you.
She felt threatened enough that she'd give him one blow to the head.
Do it.
Her daddy took the axe and struck him a blow to the neck so hard that his head bounced against the rafters.
Many believe Frankie had nothing to do with cutting up her husband.
He done the dirty work, that he chopped him all to pieces.
But on the gallows, Frankie maintains her silence.
Die with it in you, Frankie.
The victim of two men who should have protected her. In July 1833, Frankie Silver faces the hangman.
Grandpa, I love you.
Legend has it, she leaves this world with a song.
My son has gone, my days are past.
Or something that she had wrote while she was in jail. She had wrote this Frankie's poem.
What has become of me?
Frankie's poem becomes a nursery rhyme in the area, passed down generation to generation.
My sun goes down, my days are past, and I must leave this world at last.
Although there is still debate over who dismembered her husband, time has healed the wounds. Now there is great sympathy for Frankie, who many believe gave up her life to protect her father.
To this day, there have always been people at the time and throughout history who felt she was unfairly dealt with because it was a woman fighting back at a time when women had no rights. Women could not do that.
The truth of the matter is, if it was self-defense, there was no way Frankie was not going to be held accountable for it. This was a misogynist mountain society. Frankie didn't stand a chance.
If a mom is too protective,
Come party with us?
She thought Cindy was going to hurt her son.
she can do more harm
She wanted to teach her a lesson.
than good.
It was terribly brutal, it was torturous, it was sadistic.
1982, Cherokee County, Oklahoma. 41-year-old Lois Nadine Smith isn't your average, reserved bookkeeper.
By the end of the week is fine for these.
Well, you won't be getting them any sooner.
She's earned a reputation around town as a woman not to be trifled with. Nadine has a short fuse.
The girl had a temper on her, and in high school it earned her the name Mean Nadine.
The nickname sticks throughout her adult life.
Watch out.
Watch it. What did you say?
I said back off.
She went off with the slightest provocation.
You want to make something of it?
Some of that was enhanced by a little bit of drug and drinking, but a lot of it was just Nadine's personality. She was a mean girl.
She was generally considered to be somewhat of a bully, and I think that the record in this case certainly bears that out.
But there is someone Nadine can never be tough on. Her son, Greg.
Most mothers love their children no matter what, and she was no different.
Nadine supports her 18-year-old son,
Come on, man. Fixing to leave.
Okay.
no matter what he does. She doesn't even care that he is dealing drugs with his 21-year-old girlfriend, Cindy Bailey.
Her son, Greg, could do no wrong, even when he really was in the wrong.
To cross Nadine Smith is to ask for trouble. To cross her child is much worse.
She was an extremely protective mother that she was willing, I think, to, in a sense, sacrifice her own life to save her son.
When the young couple breaks up, rumors circulate that Cindy is talking about the illegal drug dealing.
She also heard stories that Cindy was threatening to turn him in to the narcotics squad and get him busted for selling drugs. And even worse than that, she heard that Cindy was planning on killing Greg.
Although he has a new girlfriend, Teresa Baker, Greg seeks advice from the one woman he really trusts, his mom.
Bitch is gonna bring me down.
Well, you just gotta let her know she can't mess with you. Simple, man.
There is no evidence the rumors are true, but Mean Nadine is ready to fight.
I'll show you.
She could not let that stand, so she went after Cindy.
Nadine has a plan to protect her son.
Open up in there.
But first, they need to convince Cindy to go on a road trip with her son and his girlfriend, Teresa. They coax her into a trap.
She talked Cindy into getting into the vehicle with them and going out and having a good time.
Cindy suspects nothing is wrong, even when she is given a warning.
Teresa Baker had tried to whisper some words to Cindy Bailey that she ought not to get in the vehicle.
Hey, it's not cool for you to get in the car.
Cindy apparently told Teresa that she could take care of herself and not to worry about it.
I can look after myself.
Cindy didn't hesitate. That doesn't sound to me like the actions of a woman who had made threats against that family.
Nadine wants to take Cindy on a journey, a one-way journey.
Cindy went along for the ride, but within minutes of getting in the back seat next to Nadine, she must have known she made a mistake.
In Cherokee County, Oklahoma, on Independence Day, July the 4th, 1982. Lois Nadine Smith is fighting her own battle. Rumors that her son's ex, Cindy Bailey, is threatening to tell the police about his drug dealing ignites Nadine's well-known temper.
I'm not lying! You'll never see charity.
Nadine wrapped her hands around Cindy's throat and started choking her. She didn't choke her too much. She didn't want to kill her just yet.
Mom! She was gonna hurt you with this!
When Greg finds a knife in Cindy's handbag, Nadine puts it to use.
Nadine had taken the knife and slowly punctured her neck there along the oral cavity. Cindy started bleeding and of course, was terrified.
Most mothers would instinctively protect their child from harm, but that wasn't what was going on here. Lois went to the extreme.
Nadine takes Cindy to her ex-husband's home in the small town of Gans.
Open over there! What the hell are you doing here? Get into the bathroom!
Jim Smith is not invited to the party.
I said shut it!
It's very hard to understand any thought process other than the idea that Nadine Smith thought that this woman threatened her son.
Cindy pleads for mercy, but Greg and his girlfriend, Teresa, won't defy Nadine.
She knew Greg Smith very well before, but the Greg Smith that she was dealing with on this day was obviously not a person who felt any kind of sympathy or empathy toward her.
Greg's loyalties lie with his mother, and there is now no stopping Nadine.
Nadine would point the gun at Cindy's stomach, and Cindy would move the pillow down to her stomach. Nadine would bring the pistol up to her head, and she would bring the pillow up to her head. She was taunting her in a very sadistic manner.
The taunting turns to terror.
That shot went through the chair. Nadine probably intended to miss, wanted to scare her even more.
If you had to do it, why'd you have to do it here? Get back in there and stay out of this!
Finally, Nadine just let go with all the bullets, shooting her all over her body.
This attack was brutal and lengthy. She thought Cindy was going to hurt her son. She believed that, and she vented her rage. She wanted to teach her a lesson. She had a party killing Cindy.
A mother protects her son with overkill.
She couldn't think of an assault bad enough to inflict on Cindy. So she did it all. She stabbed her, she shot her, and then she stomped on her neck before she finally killed her.
All the gunshots attract attention.
A police officer came to the door and said the neighbors had called the police what was going on. Jim came out of the bathroom, apparently, and talked to the police and said, "It's all right, we've solved everything, everything's okay."
That bought them time, so they were able to clean up after the murder.
Dutifully, mother's helpers attempt to disguise the scene.
They drug her body into the bedroom and then placed the gun in Cindy's hand in a pretty feeble attempt to make it look like a suicide.
Gun in there, and that's gonna look like a...
Cindy Bailey's battered body, a warning to anyone that considers crossing Nadine.
Hey, you listen to me. You say a word, and you're next. You understand?
Yeah.
Neighbors continued to call, concerned about what was going on in the house. The police returned, and this time, no one was there. Nothing was there, except the dead body of Cindy.
Cindy was I thought, a pretty girl, but certainly wasn't that day. She was pretty bloody.
Alert neighbors identify 3 people leaving the house, and police pull one of them aside, Teresa Baker.
We got Teresa Baker off by herself, and wasn't too long before she broke down in tears and told us what happened. She just witnessed a horrific act. It was terribly brutal, it was torturous, it was sadistic. It would upset anybody to see what that girl saw.
In exchange for immunity, Teresa testifies against the mother and son. On December 29th, 1982, Lois Nadine Smith is found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to death.
For his role in the crimes, Greg was convicted of murder and given life in prison.
Nadine's culpability was greater than Greg's. Greg was still a young man, obviously under the influence of his mother. The jury spoke and justice was done.
19 years later, in 2001, Nadine is executed by lethal injection.
She did it because she wanted to, and it was in her. It was in Lois to be a brutal, sadistic killer.
Some women's innocent looks
This is one of the most horrific crimes that I've come across.
can mask their true nature
Melanie was easy prey.
and their deadly intent.
I couldn't believe that it was somebody so young and in the same flat.
In the countryside of Scotland in the early 1980s, Melanie Sturton has a difficult start to life. She's born with physical challenges.
What happened to your face? Millie was born with facial paralysis and a club foot.
What's that?
The schoolyard can be a cruel place for a girl who looks different.
Which did lead to bullying at school, but apparently she even got on well with those who bullied her, ultimately.
According to her mom, Susan Patrick, after being a patient as a child, Melanie grows up wanting to care for others.
She was training to be a nurse. She came back to college and she was hoping to come out as a fully trained nurse.
Melanie's moved out of her family's home. Aged 22, she gets her own apartment in the bustling city of Aberdeen.
She wanted to move away from here because she'd gotten more confidence. She was getting on really well, enjoyed it. It was safe. Well, we thought it was.
Living upstairs in the same building is 20-year-old Pamela Gourlay, another country girl.
I'm Pamela, by the way. Oh, I live upstairs. I'm Melanie.
Pamela Gourlay's upbringing, ironically, was very similar to Melanie.
See you around. I hope so.
They were both brought up in rural areas, and she too had moved into the big city after leaving school.
Pamela works as a chef in a local restaurant. Like Melanie, she's close to her family.
She seemed to be a good daughter, a good granddaughter, and lead a relatively normal life, holding down a steady job. But behind the scenes, it was a different picture altogether.
It's not like I'm the stinking rich one, you know.
Pamela keeps part of her life secret from her family. She's taking a bad cocktail, of anti-anxiety medication and cannabis.
She'd obviously become embroiled in a drugs culture, smoked cannabis regularly, took a sleeping tablet that was commonly used by drug users, and got in with the wrong crowd.
Her drug habit is expensive. Pamela starts dealing drugs to make some extra cash. But any money she makes goes up in smoke. She's deeply in debt.
What? Where's my rent money?
I'm getting paid tonight. You'll get it tomorrow.
What happened to me first thing in the morning?
All right.
What's going on in here?
None of your business. Honestly, I mean, the fact that he would even come here.
She hadn't paid her rent since moving into the bedsit. She had other debts, and this was in spite of having a fairly good job.
Pamela's heading in the wrong direction, but Melanie is thriving.
Oh, look at you, all grown up.
She was just getting on really well, enjoyed it. We used to go and meet up. We'd go shopping and things like that, but she loved it.
Melanie's mom is about to go on a vacation overseas. Before she leaves, she takes Melanie on a shopping trip with her grandmother.
We took her to the shops and went back to the car park, but she wanted to walk back. So we just gave her a kiss and she just went, swinging her clothes, swinging her bags, and that was it.
October 8th, 1999. Pamela is enjoying a typical night.
Pamela had been out with friends, quite heavily involved in drugs.
Cannabis and prescription medication is a dangerous combination.
When those wear off, the person can have a rebound and their anxiety increases after the drug has been metabolized. I'm guessing Pamela was somewhat out of control.
Pamela is high and desperate for money, but she has a plan. Pamela Gourlay and Melanie Sturton live in the same apartment building in Aberdeen, Scotland, but they are very different young women. 22-year-old Melanie is a conscientious student looking forward to becoming a nurse. Pamela's life revolves around her drug habit and debt. The two neighbors barely know each other, but on the morning of October 9th, 1999, 20-year-old Pamela Gourlay gets ready for a visit.
She had money problems and she needed money. So whether in her drug-fueled state she decided to rob a neighbour, we'll never know. There's been no motive given for the crime. She dressed in black clothes, put on a sun hat and rubber gloves, took a boning knife that she presumably used for her in her professional career.
It's not surprising to me that when someone is ready to kill or wants to kill, especially a young person, that they would kill someone near them. Pamela may have targeted Melanie for destruction because she thought she was easy prey.
Pamela who? Just Pamela from upstairs.
I knew she wouldn't have opened the door to anybody she didn't know.
Melanie tried to stop Pamela coming into her flat. Immediately she realised what was happening. She'd seen the knife in Pamela's hand and must have been absolutely terrified. Melanie had clearly struggled with wounds in her hand, which were typical of defensive wounds.
But Melanie can't defend herself from a razor-sharp chef's knife.
She also had injuries in her head, her face, stab wounds to her body.
Despite horrific injuries, Melanie manages to crawl to the doorway.
Melanie fought back. She had defense wounds. She was almost out the door. I think that may have escalated Pamela's fury, and she slit her throat.
Melanie was a lovely girl, just really getting started off in life, who would never have suspected a neighbour would commit such a brutal attack.
Melanie fought for her life, and she lost because she was fighting a monster.
With the murder complete, Pamela can't bear looking at her handiwork.
Pamela threw the cover over Melanie's body. Tells me she didn't want to see what she had done. She stepped over her a few times, so it didn't mean anything, but she covered her up because she didn't want to see her.
Pamela now goes about taking whatever she can find. Just a few dollars and a store gift voucher from Melanie's grandmother.
She stole all the stuff, which was nothing. It was pennies and stupid little things.
Everyone would like answers as to what the motive was for this horrendous murder, especially Melanie's mum. Perhaps it was just to try and get money for her next batch of drugs, but we'll never know what happened that night.
Pamela returns upstairs to hide the evidence.
Pamela was cool and calm after the murder. She would put the bloodstained clothing into bags, which she hid in the flat.
She then carries on with life like nothing's happened. She meets her mom and grandmother for a shopping spree.
How could you just go shopping and carry on? I mean, you couldn't. That is evil. It's just evil. And no remorse and no guilt. I mean, feel no guilt about it.
Pamela buys her grandmother a gift with the voucher she killed to get.
And she bought her granny a present with Melanie's granny's vouchers that she gave her for a present.
She spent some of the money that she stole from her murder victim. If Pamela were my child, I'd be rather frightened.
On vacation, Melanie's mom, Susan, keeps trying to call her daughter, but there's no answer.
I just knew something had happened to her.
She insists that police break into Melanie's apartment. They find her body 3 days after the murder.
It was horrific. It was horrific. And I remember going into a fetal position and just screaming. And knowing I'd never, ever see her again.
The brutal murder horrifies the quiet community, but within days, they'll be even more stunned. Police request DNA samples from Melanie's neighbors. Pamela agrees to give one. It will be her downfall. It matches samples at the crime scene. A search warrant for Pamela's apartment seals her fate.
They found hidden in bags the knife and the bloodstained clothing which had been used in the murder.
Pamela's not a natural-born criminal. She left evidence all over the place. She attacked someone who was very close proximity to her.
Pamela Gourlay is arrested and charged with the murder of Melanie Sturton.
I could not believe that it was somebody so young and in the same flat. Never even thought that it could be a young female who did that because it was so horrific.
Under police questioning, Pamela soon confesses, but doesn't say she's sorry.
Pamela Gourlay's never ever shown remorse or at the police, to me, to the trial, to nobody. Never ever explained why she did it.
There was nothing in Pamela's family background that would have pointed to the future, that she was going to become a vicious killer.
But there's one possibility.
When Pamela was a teenager, she started smoking marijuana. It can have a bad effect on teenagers. Their brains aren't formed, and it can alter the course of their life, especially if they do it very much. And that's what happened to Pamela.
Pamela Gourlay is found guilty of murder on March 9th, 2000, and sentenced to life with a minimum of 14 years.
It's not justice to me. I think she should never get out. Life should mean life.
Pamela is now on an early release program and leaves prison unguarded to work in a charity shop. Soon, Pamela is eligible for parole. For Susan Patrick, it means the nightmare starts all over again.
Because it's getting nearer and nearer, I feel awful. Really, really. It's like somebody reaches inside and twists and your breath just goes and you go, oh, it's awful.
Pamela's going to be released someday. I wouldn't want her to be my neighbor.